Support comes from the Wiregrass Archives at Troy University's Dothan campus, identifying and preserving historical documents and photographs for research related to the Wiregrass region. More information at troy.edu/wiregrassarchives.
From Troy Public Radio, this is In Focus, and I'm Carolyn Hutchison. The Joe Thomas Jr. Guitar Pull is a tradition at the Cloverdale Playhouse in Montgomery, and its driving force is Greg Thornton. Greg joins us with a preview of Saturday's Festi-Pull, which has grown thanks to its many fans. The music you're hearing is from Giorgio Ferrera's The Interstate Life, and we remember when Giorgio was a contestant at NPR's Tiny Desk concert in 2018.
Love I hope you couldn't see.
Greg Thornton, it is an honor to have you back on Troy Public Radio. Welcome.
Great to be with you again, Carolyn.
Greg, you are the organizer of the Joe Thomas Jr. Guitar Pull at the Cloverdale Playhouse. What's coming up?
The Guitar Pull now is in its 16th season, and we are refashioning the Guitar Pull, and we're calling it the Joe Thomas Jr. Festi-Pull. And it is Saturday, August 22nd, late afternoon and early evening music festival. We will have 12 artists playing. We have 2 slots in the theater itself from 4:30 to 6, and then from 7 to 8:30, we have singer-songwriters playing in the theater. And in between those 2 slots, we have a great jazz combo called Most Dubious. They're talented musicians. But there are 5 of them who will be playing out in the courtyard as people come and go from the food trucks and from the great restaurants, which are within walking distance of the Playhouse, and listen to music for 4 hours. And there is air conditioning.
Greg, the intro music that we were playing by Giorgio Ferrera is from the album The Interstate Life. Can you tell us more about him?
Giorgio's great, from Birmingham. Well, Giorgio is just a fabulous artist. And Giorgio's played at the Guitar Pull at least 3 times, but his music just has a spirit to it, fills you up. His music, as you can tell, falls into the folk tradition. Giorgio has a Christian element to his music, but his music carries across a number of genres, I would say. He's going to be playing in the late afternoon with an actor I've worked with at the Shakespeare Festival named Michael Grieve. Michael's a fabulous singer-songwriter himself. They will be joined by Megan Lee, who has played at our Guitar Pulls a number of times. So there's 3 of them in the afternoon slot. And then they will be joined later in the theater with the evening slot by Troy Atkinson and Scott Grant and Julie Gribble. And Troy has been nominated for a Josie Award that comes out of Nashville for a Song of the Year. Great talent playing at the Playhouse.
The Guitar Pull has evolved into a festival, and you're calling it a Festi-Pull. How did that evolution come about?
Well, obviously we have the Guitar Pull, and that has to do with, a number of artists might sit together and somebody has one guitar in the group. And so they want to play their song. And so they sort of pull the guitar away from the person who's playing and they play their songs. That's the story. I stick to it. And the Guitar Pull has, over the years, evolved from a monthly series to a semi-annual series. And now we're trying to have more artists all at the same time gathered together, Carolyn. That's kind of how it's evolved. So all totaled, we have 12 artists, musicians coming on the 22nd.
But it all started when you and Joe Thomas were sitting at a restaurant in Old Cloverdale. Tell us more about Joe Thomas Jr.
Well, Joe was himself a singer-songwriter. He's a fabulous, fabulous talent and would play at pubs in town. When you go sit in a pub and you have a microphone and a guitar, you have to compete with the TVs that are blaring, all of the people sitting around chatting. That's the pub atmosphere. But Joe decided he was going to try to create a night where the singer-songwriter would play their original tunes. And maybe the audiences, the regulars, would just listen to the music. we decided, let's bring them into the theater and they will play their tunes and just talk about how a song came to be. What was the birth of a piece of music? What was the origin of a lyric? That got the audience just quietly sitting there listening to songs. And there'd be a give and take with audience members asking a question. What happened? Did you break up with that person and he broke your heart and you wrote a song about it? That's how the great tunes begin. Or what were you doing walking down a street or sitting in your canoe rowing down a river and it inspired you to write a piece of music? The songwriters themselves talked back with the audience and said, here's how the song came to be. That's kind of how it happened. Joe's idea came to life at the Playhouse because it's a theater which thrives on words. So you connect it with the music and off you go.
Besides being a famous actor, you're also a musician. Are you performing at the Guitar Festi-Pull?
I thought about sort of being a troubadour and just walking around, kind of being a busker and playing. Then I thought, no, that's a little too self-aggrandizing. So we got this great jazz combo. Ryan Avery is the leader of this group, and Ryan's a fabulous trombone player. So it's kind of more brass and drums playing out in the courtyard as people come and go.
Well, this will be based at the theater, which was formerly a church. So how about the acoustics inside for those who are performing indoors, unplugged?
The acoustics are so good. We have done a number of unplugged with a number of artists. It's all just acoustic, like sitting in somebody's living room. Nothing like an old church. The acoustics are fabulous. The resounding tone of that old church just travels around beautifully. So music just lives inside that building. It's wonderful.
Over the past 16 years that you've been involved in the Guitar Pull, which is now the Guitar Festi-Pull, you've watched music go through different styles. What's your assessment of today?
There's still a single note on a piano. There's a chord on a guitar. There's the sound of a singer's voice, a cappella, or accompanied by instruments. It just continues to grow. And the thing that Joe's mission, and we continue to try to live it as much as we can, is to bring the younger artists in, new songwriters. I encourage anybody who's got a new song out there, send me the music if they want to try their song out. Because what it basically is, Carolyn, is 6 or 7 original tunes, and then we do what is a cover. The artist who plays at the Guitar Pull and now the Festi-Pull will sing the final song that's written by an artist that has inspired them. So it runs the whole gamut of original and inspired songs.
Do some of these artists represent what we would think of as roots music?
Yes, Troy certainly does. And Scott Grant, who plays in the evening, plays a lot of that music. Scott comes from this area, as does Troy. There's a new fellow who's joining Scott. He's going to sit in, named John Mark Turner, who's a slide guitarist. That comes right out of the ground down here in the South, as well as take your pick of indigenous music, African American music. It all comes from the roots. That's our mission.
Online, can people find a description of this event Saturday, August 22nd?
They can cloverdaleplayhouse.org, O-R-G. They will get links to the Guitar Pull itself on that website. The tickets are easily gotten at the door.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carolyn.
That was Greg Thornton with a preview of Saturday's Joe Thomas Jr. Guitar Festi-Pull, starting at 4:30 p.m. at the Cloverdale Playhouse in Montgomery's Old Cloverdale District. More information is at the cloverdaleplayhouse.org website. The music you're hearing is from Troy Atkinson, one of the stars at Saturday's Guitar Festi-Pull. Thanks for joining us for In Focus, which is a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to get in touch at infocus@troy.edu. I'm Carolyn Hutchison, and this is listener-supported Troy Public Radio.
Peace of mind. Always smashing little toes underneath our heels. All the layers of self-confidence we tear, strip, and peel.